Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Mike.
Dylan, I was wondering today if Black Lightning, hypothetically, was a Tolkien wizard and he achieved top tier status, would he then be White Lightning and would still that have stereotypical racial connotations?
I I don't even know where this comes from, where you're going with this, what this has to do with Sunburn.
It doesn't have a damn thing to do with Sunburn.
Okay.
But I'm glad that you mentioned Sunburn. The Sunburn... Whoa, that's a Sunburn. There we go. The Sunburning game engine.
We're pros, folks.
We are. This is top-notch. And it's because we're such professional pros, we're going to speculate. Actually, I don't know. So you've read... I don't know how to do this. John, I'm sorry. Right? I got into some places, like I did some snooping on some things, and I kind of saw my Christmas present early, right? Like I'm a little kid that saw a Christmas present early, but I don't know, I don't understand what I saw, right? And quite frankly, I don't know how to interpret what leaked information that I gathered. I should not have gone snooping where I did. I should not have seen the things that I have seen. Let's just say the phrase XNA 5 was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy to get optimistic.
I'm not touching this topic with a 10-foot pole.
What is your interpretation, Dylan? I showed you what I saw.
Wow.
XNA 5 could be a thing.
It could be, but the way I interpreted it was this is one possible scenario that has not been resolved.
Right, you get to the end, and then you choose the red, green, or blue path. And one of those paths is XNA 5. And the other one, you just ignore the kid and you reset the cycle.
Well, yeah, I mean, if the red and green and blue paths were all in talks together to determine where each of them went, then yes, that's kind of how it would
possibly
work. Much more boring than, you know.
So, what we're kind of talking about is stuff that we've speculated on in the past and kind of rumored and, you know, got into some places and leaked some information. But the stuff that I've leaked, you know, I've kind of felt like it has been obvious. You knew it was going to go there. You know, Sunburn for Metro. Right? Now, you know, hey, and I'm talking WinRT Metro. I'm sorry, Modern.
Modern.
That's
what it's called now.
It's called Modern now because we couldn't get the trademark to Metro because we didn't check. So yeah, I'm talking tablet targeting WinRT apps. That Sunburn is going to be there, and that the interesting thing was that Sunburn is going to be there in such a way that you could still be writing C# and XNA, which is not an offering that Microsoft is, at least at launch. I don't know if it's going to come in the future. I don't want to be overly pessimistic, but at the launch does not seem like Microsoft cares too much about providing a managed game framework anymore. They seem to have left that behind, and go JavaScript or go C++ or go home seems to be the new message. Yeah, that's what C++. Go DirectX. Go native or go home. Which, frankly, I'm not interested in doing. You know, I'd rather go Unity. But I love XNA. Like, I gotta be honest here. I don't want to go Unity. I drag my feet about going Unity. As great and wonderful as it is, as much as I've talked about how much business sense that would make for us, I love XNA. Like, it is just amazingly awesome. I love C#.
You get access to the code. It's not opinionated about being 2D or 3D.
Link.
You don't have to work backwards. Yes,
Link. Link is fucking giant balls awesome. Would you disagree?
I guess so. That's just a strange turn of phrase.
You know, Black Lightning would agree that Link is fucking awesome.
I don't even know
White
what
Lightning
or who
would agree.
Black, white, gray Lightning is.
Lightning the Gray? Oh, that's probably right. He'd probably be Lightning the White, Lightning the Gray? Is that how that would work?
I don't know.
What's the official Tolkien title system? How does that work?
I don't know. I know very, very little about Lord of the Rings.
This may be the very first ad in which Cicely no longer holds silence and bust in on.
Just make it stop in the pain.
So, so we kind of knew. We back to the thing. We kind of knew, like, hey, this is obviously Microsoft's direction with XNA is taking a back seat at the moment. Who knows how permanent it may be, but at the moment. But of course, Sunburn's their own company. They're not going to go into that night gently, right? They're gonna innovate. And the things that they've been doing are crazy. I look forward to talking about Sunburn in 4 to 6 months from now. Like when some of this stuff,
speculating and completely dancing around.
Some of this stuff is starting to like come out, and there's bits and there's reality. Because, like I said, I don't fully have my mind wrapped around what I saw, and I'm afraid to speculate on it because it is so fucking awesome that I don't want to endanger the chance that it's not true. Like, I don't want to, like, speculate to what I think I saw, and then to get the email and go, you need to not say that, because that's not,
You're not saying anything that wasn't in the email, I don't think.
Well, I have access to other places. Right?
Okay, well...
We are card-carrying members of the Sunburn community. And, as kind of stewards, over time I've been allowed into areas, let's say, have certain agreements that maybe you shouldn't exactly disclose everything. Maybe you should non-disclose those things. And I've kind of played around with kind of like a wink and a nod, and some of that in the past, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna try. Man, I don't know.
We've taken the first step. You've said something on the air.
I have. I went there.
So I guess it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission or more information?
There is so many nods and winks at this moment that I can't decipher what is real and what are nervous tics anymore. But XNA 5. Maybe. That could be a thing. And if it is a thing, I think we might have to thank the Synapse gaming crew. Yes. And what they do. All right, we spent a lot of time on this ad not talking about the engine itself, but we talk about the engine all the time. Go play a prior episode, catch up on the engine. But in the meantime, jump over to synapsegaming.com, check these guys out, check out the demo, and what these guys are doing for the community is above and beyond the Call of Duty. Above and beyond the Modern Warfare spin-off of the Call of Duty 3. synapsegaming.com. Alright, everyone. Welcome to the show. This is a grand show for us. This is episode number 100. To ring in episode number 100, I have none other than Mr. Dave Voyles returning to the show. Dave, welcome back.
Hello again.
And welcome for the first time, Michael Hicks.
Hey, everybody.
Dave, everybody knows you. You're all over the place. Michael, introduce yourself. Give us your rundown.
All right. Well, I'm a developer. I started developing for XBLAG last year, and I've always kind of admired the uprisings and the community spirit around App Hub and XBLAG in general. And I decided to get involved with the new uprising here with Dave, and it's been a good time. And I'm glad I can kind of give back to the community a little bit and get things off the ground.
So, do you got any games out? Are you a perpetual development dev, or?
Yeah, last year I came out with Honor and Vengeance 1 and 2 for XBLIG. They were space shooter games. And I actually have a game in promotion called Sententia as well. So.
Okay, excellent. So that's one of the Uprising games, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
All right. So basically, what you guys are doing, the reason you guys are brought on here, is that it's time for the third Uprising. I think, Dave, you fell and hit your head and thought this was a good idea, right?
No, I think it was Mike who got us started on this one, right?
Well, I remember the thread. Going.
Yeah. And then it stopped and it came back up
Dave was
again.
like, "Man, this is a shit ton of work, dude."
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
and then like it kind of went quiet for a little bit on the thread.
Yeah, it did.
It kind of became like a by committee thing. I know, and I think I was on the air and I said this as well. that like early in the thread I kind of like suggested like to not do this by committee thing and like really laser it in and focus, but it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna like step away because I'm not gonna step in and volunteer my time, so I don't feel right like jumping in the thread and trying to armchair quarterback it. But I was like, I don't think this thing's gonna happen because it's becoming everything to everyone, and that's not gonna be out. But
Right.
I was surprised you guys jump out and it had a real tight selected game process. So,
Yeah.
in fact, let's just start there. How did you guys select the games? How did that go?
Well, really, I started the thread on App Hub, and kind of one of the main reasons I started it is because I noticed like a lot of really awesome games were coming out around the same time. I think when I posted that, like Penny Arcade 3 was coming out, and Windhaven was supposed to come out, and then Gateways and City Tuesday, like all around the same time. I was like, wow, that's a lot of really cool games, so why don't we try to make something happen here? So, I mean, that's what started, and then what we ended up doing when Dave dropped by and all that is we kind of just picked out some games that we thought were really awesome or cool looking, and we kind of play tested around the games that had their games up in the forum or whatever. And eventually we got like 4 or 5, like a small group of developers together, right? And from that group, we all kind of decided as a committee the rest of the titles, and mainly we picked stuff from people who had dropped by on the forum and whatnot. So it was different from last time, but I think Dave was saying it was kind of a mess last time with like all the it was just so many games to go through, So
Yeah, that was my advice. There was one of the things of like avoid the public voting thing.
yeah.
So did you guys both, Dave? Did you kind of do a closed door discussion thing to come up with the list, or how'd that work?
Well, I think initially what happened was we asked everyone to submit like what they thought were some of the best games from Dream Build Play, and fortunately Microsoft had that list much more organized this year than they had previously done. So all the contact information for these developers was now available. So people would just throw games on there, and that basically saved us a lot of the trouble of having to do it ourselves. And then from there, Mike went ahead and contacted some of the developers and emailed them and said, hey, look, your games look like it's going to be a really solid title. Do you think you can hit this late summer, early fall deadline? And if so, we'll start to talk. So we got a few developers on that way. And then once we had those 4 or 5 like developers we knew we wanted to be a part of this, it came down to making positions for maybe 3 or 4 other guys. So from there, among our email chain of the 4 or 5 developers we'd start off with, we said, hey, look, here's some other options. Here's some other great games in the pipeline. What do you think about adding this guy or this game? And that's how we built it.
Yeah.
Did you have
So it's kind of a
hard,
mix match.
a hard number of like, okay, no matter what we get, we only have X slots. We only have this number.
No, it was never about that. Yeah, it was just like if we could find great games, because we ended up with 9, right? And that's such a weird like odd number, but that's just how it worked out, I guess. So.
Yeah.
All right, so and everybody submitted. I mean, you played demos and things like that. Like that was kind of a. I think
yes,
in the forums of like, hey, we want people playing the games instead of like judging off of art and screenshots.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like submit it to, if you have something for playtest or a link, then that's going to really help you out more than anything else.
So,
And, in fact, it did.
guys, I mean, pitches on the games here, since you probably touched them. If I'm putting you up for something that's like, oh no, we didn't actually play them. Truthville, the first one up there.
Yeah, nobody really knows how to say that, and that was kind of like the point, I guess, is he wanted like an unpronounceable game or something like that. But yeah, that's pretty much a. If you look at the screenshots, it's like
3D
a 3D,
snake.
3D snake. But like something that's really cool about it is like he designed it to be kind of like metaphorical with the gameplay, and it's a really cool game. Like I guess he was trying to do like some experimental type stuff with it. He actually made back in 2009 this game called Leave Home, which was like everyone loved it back then. It was on OXM. It was like I think they ranked it like the best Xbox Live indie game ever or something like that. So a lot of people don't know that he did Leave Home, but that was actually a really good game too. I'm not sure if you guys were familiar with that one.
All right.
Leap year. Don't know.
So do you know
Yeah.
what the gameplay is on this? I mean, because it's one of those like you look at and you're like, okay, it's a puzzle game. It's
Yeah, well, okay. So there's like, if you look at the screenshots, there's like little blocks around. You pretty much you go around as a snake, and the more you eat, the more you grow, and then the more you grow, you start like you have to avoid running into your tail cell because you get so long that you wrap around the cube, and so you have to avoid yourself and avoid like obstacles. And then pretty much how it is after you've collected everything outside of the cube, you go inside the cube and you collect everything in there. And you're just constantly trying to grow and become a larger snake and whatnot. So that's pretty much the premise of it.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So, all right. Now I kind of see it. Yeah, it's like a 3D snake.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Interesting. All right. So let's see what else we've got. Oh well, of course. I'm sure we can talk about Cynthia, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's mine.
I played this probably a few months ago. He had like given me the opportunity to play test it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So what is this game?
Okay, well, this was a game I developed in like 3 or 4 months, and pretty much what I was wanting to do is I played a bunch of games. Are you familiar with Jason Rohrer's stuff, the guy who did Passage?
No.
By any chance? No. Okay. Well, I studied a bunch of his. Like he was, like back in 2009. There's a bunch of games that they called like art games, a big art game movement, and I kind of like went through and I was inspired by a bunch of that stuff. And I thought, well, it'd be cool if I could try to do something like this. So I tried this out and make this game that told a story through gameplay mechanics. So like the whole premise of the game is you're this little creature who's you start off as a kid and you get older as you progress, and you have to use your imagination to build these bridges and progress. And in the description it says you have to face the challenges of life's forest. So you just go through this forest growing up and building the bridges and whatnot. So it's a puzzle platformer, pretty much.
Okay. Yeah. So I see that you're connecting these dots, and that creates the bridge.
Yeah. Yep. That would be Sententia.
Just watching a little bit of the video play by.
Sententia.
Yeah. That's a Latin word, so that's why it's a little weird.
Sententia. Wait. Oh man, dude, don't you know? Like, I don't think Latin's an approved language. You can't.
Yeah, it's a dead language, so that's why I picked it.
All right. Die Hard Dungeon.
This
Dave can
looks
tell you
like
about that,
this is
yeah.
right up my alley. So Link to the Past is one of my favorite games of all time, and this essentially looks and feels just like Link to the Past, but still like that a heavy voxel or pixelated look, I should say, on the main character and enemies. And yeah, it's really what it is. It's like a Link to the Past style game where it's top down, crawling through dungeons, lots of particle effects, and they're kind of funny to see because they're very pixelated as well, but done purposely so for the art style. And that's probably the best way to put it. All randomly generated dungeons. So I guess they add some more replayability to the thing. But I have no problem saying this, but this is probably the one I'm most looking forward to, simply because it most closely resembles my favorite game. Yeah, so this is definitely what I'm looking forward to. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys must. Actually, you know what? Michael and I had spoke about this the other day. He's a bit younger than I am, and I'm like amazed at how much he's been able to do so far. And I thought about this. My favorite game, Link to the Past, is older than he is.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
I'm embarrassing, but
so that's scary, right? I remember getting Link like the week it came out, and now I'm like, wait a minute, you weren't even born yet.
yeah, I wasn't born. Yeah.
And that's
That hurts my
fucking
head.
third Zelda game. I mean,
Yes.
I know.
that's the third Zelda game on the next console. Like,
Yeah.
that's the third game in a console generation from like me and Legend of Zelda, because we've had discussions on the podcast in the past of a generational gap to like I didn't finish Link to the Past. I've never finished Link to the
But
Past.
even I
Oh my
played
goodness,
the
it's
original
so
Zelda
good.
and
But yeah.
Zelda 2, so
Man,
Wow.
it's-
Oh, such
All
a
right.
good game.
next one on here. We've had Smudge Cat game.
Oh, David on
We've had-
before. You had
yeah,
Dave on
yeah.
Maybe 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks
Yeah,
ago.
he was on there.
Yeah, I
and,
listened
mean,
to that one.
This is one of the Gateways is one of those games that like when we saw this, we were like, all right, why did we bother entering Dream Build Play? Because we're not in the same league here.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, he just has everything down pat with his games. I was actually playtesting this earlier in the week, and if it's basically a 2D version of Portal. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah. But then he gets crazy with the portals. Like it's not just like, okay, I've got the base. Well, I guess Portal gets advanced with the portals as well. But it seems like, with the change in the
It's like a
gravity
Metroidvania
and
with
time and,
Yeah.
like, it's just one of those games that by the end of it, you'll be doing all these crazy awesome things, but if you try to explain to somebody what you're doing in the last level, they're going to look at you like, I could never understand that.
Yeah, you have to build like a solid set of skills before you can progress. But it's got a bit of a Metroidvania feel to it, in that certain doors and things are locked until you reach certain points. But even better, I noticed in a lot of these Metroidvania games, you get stuck because you just don't know if you can progress. Fortunately, what he's done here is, if you get to a puzzle you're not sure about, you can, I guess, use whatever form of currency he has in the game. I don't remember off the top of my head. And say I use 6 points. That'll tell me whether or not the puzzle can be accomplished at this moment. And then if I pay maybe 40 points, it'll tell me how to do it. So things like that are great for getting yourself out of jams, because there's nothing more frustrating than getting to a puzzle in a game and you're like, I have no idea. I don't even know if I can do this right now.
Yeah, we were talking. I mean, we were talking a little bit before the show of older JRPGs and just like random lose situations you can do nothing about.
Oh yeah.
They would just randomly use that, and I think, Dave, you're the one that said, like, that would be a bug today. That would be a game flaw.
Yeah.
So, I mean, David Johnson is hitting it wonderful. He's also the developer to Adventure of Shuggy, which was...
Shuggy.
That was not a Dreambuild Play winner, right? That was a Dreambuild Play entry.
It was an entry, but I don't think he got like a top spot or anything. Somehow.
Yeah, but it did get an XBLA contract after that, and then he went through some development fund, publisher relationship fund on that. But eventually, yeah, that is available on XBLA as well.
Yeah.
He got screwed over again like a couple of days ago. He was telling everybody they did a price cut on the XBLA version, and they never even asked him about it.
Oh wow,
that would be nice, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Well, I guess he's through a publisher, right? So.
Yeah, but still, that's pretty low to not even like talk to him about it, you know. So. He found out from Facebook. He said.
Wow.
Wow. That's.
Yeah.
All right, come on.
Oh, hey, actually, before we forget, that's actually going to release on Steam and XBLIG simultaneously on the same day. He just announced that a couple days back.
I read that. That's another simultaneous release. Hey, speaking of which, these guys, are you going to get these guys all, you've harped on them of like way advance the peer review, sit there in the queue so that, you know,
yeah,
we've
tried to. Right, yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that question again?
To harp on the developers to make sure that they are in through peer review way in advance of their date.
Yep.
Like a week is not enough.
No, I told them that it all has to be done 2 weeks before. 2 weeks, basically September 1st. You have to have it in and done. And we can't leverage anything with Microsoft until it's done either. And we had the same issue last year where these games have to be completed before they can offer any sort of help, if they do offer help.
Right.
But yeah, in this way, there's no worrying. I tell all these guys, have the game done. And fortunately, it's gone so much smoother this time around that everyone's had it in playtesting. A lot of them are past peer review already. And we're just sitting on them. And that makes things so much more comfortable because then they can work on their marketing and whatever else and just relax.
Yeah.
You know, now it's easy mode. Sure, like you guys are well aware, feature creep easily gets into every game. And you want to add one more thing, another thing there, but in the end, it's just not worth it, especially for something like this.
Well,
you've got one day to make it happen.
These guys, most of them are single developers or small shop developers, and they're not marketing specialists, and so it's easier to add one more feature than it is to, like, I'm going to put effort into marketing the game because, you know, I know how to add the feature, and it feels like I'm doing something that I enjoy, but that's good to hear on that. The next one up, did we have Andres Hydrak on the show? Or I feel like I've talked about this game a lot before, Smooth Operators.
Yeah.
And maybe we haven't. I don't know why I feel like I've talked about this. Because this is...
remember it because I would have
remembered.
This is the call center simulator.
Yeah,
Oh.
Which I'm really kind of curious to play, honestly.
It's pretty awesome, yeah.
It looks like it has that, you know, sim appeal.
Yeah.
That even though initially you're like, yeah, it's probably a great phone game. This be a great mobile game or something, you know, time waster Facebook game.
Tiny Tower, game dev story type of thing.
Yeah. I don't know. This is one I'm actually like, yeah, I wouldn't mind playing this on the console. Like this looks pretty big enough. And plus, you know, I mean, call centers. I think we all have some relationship. I I haven't worked in one, but I work at a company that has a rather large one, so I've worked with one. And yeah, I think I think this one looks good. I'm looking forward to this one. I don't know if you guys have played it or have thought.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
I was going over the text with him the other day. It's actually pretty impressive because he's not a native English speaker. He's from Sweden.
Yeah, he's from Sweden. Yeah.
But I looked over all of his text anyway, and he sent me the ones he wasn't sure of, and it's pretty great how close non-native English speakers can get to the language. You know what I mean? Especially when we have all these subtle nuances and ways of saying things. So the fact that he can nail that is impressive enough to me, especially because this game is so dialogue heavy.
Yeah.
All right, entropy. Entropy?
Yeah, entropy.
That word. Entropy?
Entropy, yeah. I think you say it like that. I'm not for sure either, but entropy.
I mean, that's a real word. I'm not like this is this guy's name. I'm just
Not
like
entropy, but entropy.
Entropy, yeah.
Entropy.
Well, entropy is a word, and I guess Wikipedia says entropy is a thing as well.
They're both words.
It's a thermodynamic property toward equilibrium of temperatures.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Especially for this game, as you play it, it starts to make
I was thinking
sense.
whatever the word. What is the word where like things just erode over time?
That's entropy.
Ah.
Yeah, the pH. I see how it throws us off.
So yeah, those would be bad words to mix up. You know, that could really go wrong.
Yeah.
It's just approaching. I'm like, oh, that's okay. It's fine.
H2SO4.
So what's going on in this game? What is the gameplay in this one?
Ooh, we both played this the other day, actually. What we do is, as we play these games, we have like our own little private play testing going on, and we submit them back and forth in emails for all to see. And this is probably the prettiest game of the bunch, I'm not going to lie. And it has a heavy Portal vibe, again, because of all the puzzle issues and the way it kind of presents some of them. So it's in a first-person perspective, in a 3D environment, heavy use of lighting, fog, dynamic lights especially, and a lot of high-resolution textures. So that's what grabbed my attention initially. But like I said, it's a puzzle game. So what happens is you're basically following this orb throughout this world and trying to play catch-up with it. So it'll go through these puzzles, and you have to follow right behind it. The problem is, with every puzzle, you're starting to learn new tactics and maneuvers. For example, it relies heavily on physics. So in one area, you may have to move a boulder against a flaming rock. And once you touch that flaming rock, this boulder now catches fire. So you're kind of stuck in a tight position where you can't continue to push it. So you have to back off for a second and push it again. But the entire time, we're trying to do a little dance and balance on these platforms high above the ground. But fortunately, he makes things much easier for you, or say the team makes things easier, in that it has a rewind feature. So you just hold the left trigger, and you can suddenly go back in time seamlessly. And I was surprised at how, effectively they nailed that. There's no delay, no slowdown, and I didn't run into any issues with that. So this kind of caught me off guard with how much fun I had playing this. Some of the puzzles are more difficult than others. I'm not much of a puzzle guy, but for a lot of people, I think this is a nice, suitable alternative to Portal.
Yeah. And again, all of these, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I read this. All of these are going to come out for $1.
Except for Gateways.
Gateways, because it's on Steam as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think it's $3 on Steam.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so you want to keep.
So basically, you could buy all of these games, all of the Indie Uprising games, for the same price as, or for actually less than one XBLA, Summer of XBLA title, I should say.
Although, to mention the Summer of XBLA title that just came out is Dust and Legion Tale.
Yes.
That is the first Dreamville Play winner?
No, I thought it was too. That was 2009's winner.
Oh, was it 2009's winner?
Yeah, I think James Silva won in 08, and maybe
right. Whatever it is, that is like the great white whale of XNA, to finally have that one come out. And it's getting killer reviews.
Oh yeah, I got my copy last week, and I had an absolute blast with it.
Oh yeah, I haven't played it. I should probably grab the demo. It's very graphic intense, very pretty.
Yeah.
But I kind of like watching the videos. Like I'm worried that I might not. Too much is going on the screen. Too much graphics, I prefer a little bit simpler, but that's my taste. And then sometimes when you play it, that you go, oh, that's not an issue.
Yeah, I mean, like, I honestly don't think that a demo does this game well, and it's for one reason. The first hour is so dialogue heavy, and that was one of the issues I raised. One of my concerns is that the first hour is maybe 30 minutes of dialogue, which does a great job of setting up the story, and you're kind of engaged in how beautiful everything is, but you just want to get going. Not only that, but in addition to the first hour, it's just very combat heavy, and I'm thinking, okay, this is just a brawler. I'm going to get tired of this fast. I played 100 of these. But after the first hour, things open up, and suddenly it's a Metroidvania with an active RPG upgrade system and blacksmithing and earning all these new skills. So there's so much more to it, but it doesn't happen until after the first hour. So, I mean, I would have put it down after 30 minutes, but I'm like, there's got to be more to this. And finally, I discovered that.
If somebody listening wants to check out, go to Giant Bomb and check their quick look. Because I think when they play it, they're already 6 hours in the game.
Yeah, and that gives you a good idea of what you have to look to.
Yeah, he's trying to avoid story spoilers, but he can pull up and show you like all the items he's collected and crafting, and the map's a little bit more filled out, I guess. I definitely at least want to play the demo. I think if I get over my concerns with like not what was the other winner that we played back when we were doing reviews? Where you were collecting the bells. There was that little drill bit, and you were collecting the bells, and...
Blocks That Matter?
No. Blocks That Matter was a decent one.
I like that one.
This was very pretty. It was one of the finalists or winners.
Tick?
Tick, part 1.
Oh, yeah, Tick Part 1.
Yeah,
yes.
see that... Tick Part 1 is kind of the thing that I'm afraid of, because when you got into it was an okay platformer, just really... graphicked out. It's the point where we couldn't tell sometimes what was background, what was foreground, and what was you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I get worried about sometimes on those. But, if it's done right, I guess I should give it a shot. So, City Tuesday.
Yeah, okay, so this one's by Chris Zukowski, and actually he's been working on this for a while. It was actually submitted for the Summer Uprising, I think, but he decided it wasn't ready in time or something.
Last year.
Yeah. So you're this guy who's stuck living... if you've seen Groundhog Day, it's kind of inspired by that, but you're this guy who's stuck living the last 5 minutes of his life before a terrorist attack. So pretty much you're reliving these same 5 minutes over and over, and you have to go through and study people's patterns and behaviors to find the bombs that they've planted. So it's another puzzle game. You go through and you study the behaviors and you get the bombs and save the day kind of thing. And it's pretty cool. I play tested it.
Seriously? That's what this game is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I never would have got that from watching this video of like these... they're not quite stick figures, but like very simplistic drawing of like this whole Groundhog Day terrorist last day of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, the graphic style is really cool. I really like it. So
It is, but I kind of thought of it to be like some just kind of like puzzle game, like go to this screen, solve this puzzle, go to this screen, solve this puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I first played that maybe 4 months ago in playtesting, and he still had a ways to go, but like it was very well done from that point. The art style is very simple, control scheme very simple, but because everyone's on like a set schedule and a set path, it makes it feel like a simple but living, breathing world. So it's just fun to run around as all these people have their own agenda, hopping on the bus, going on the subway, and you're just trying to play catch up. It's fun though. I liked it.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, cool. Let's back up here. What do we got? Xenominer.
Mm-hmm. We had to have one minor craft style game in there.
Is this... Oh, wait. So this is, this has got a combat part to it, right? Wait, did I see that? Am I confusing with something else?
I do not know, to tell you the truth. I have not actually played this one yet. I'm still trying to play catch up with everybody else.
Yeah, I played for a little bit, but not like a ton, so I don't want to say like the wrong thing. But from what I played, like I didn't have any combat, but I'm sure I'm going to guess that there's some in there. Like I just was building stuff.
Of Descent with like your perspective, and you're in this like little machine on a moon style base trying to build things.
Yeah, it does look like a Descent or an older Unreal. It's kind of what I see it to be.
Yeah.
But in like a Minecraft voxel construction world.
Right.
Yeah.
And these voxel games just continue to sell like mad.
Yeah, they do. I really don't know.
It harkens back to a simpler time where all you played with were Legos.
One thing I noticed...
No, I get why voxel games are popular. I don't get why buying the same voxel game over and over and over again, like why all the voxel games that we have, all the
Why are there 13 Maddens?
Because,
it's
people...
the same question.
No. 13 Maddens come out across 13 years.
People play
We have 5 Minecraft clones that are straight up just... They have what Minecraft have in them. I mean, even the one that has, like, zombies in it, Minecraft has zombies. That's not you haven't added anything to the formula here, and they're selling millions of copies apiece.
You have to consider how obsessively people play Minecraft.
And
they can play Minecraft. Like, Minecraft is on the console. Like
I know.
They will buy everything that is like it because they're obsessive.
You know, one thing I noticed
now.
about the Indie Uprising trailer was there were several games that kind of had the voxel look to them, you know, from the trailer, and I may be misinterpreting something here, but all of them looked very distinct from Minecraft. Like, they were not just using those same mechanics. They all had something thrown in there that made it...
Yeah, and that's where I want to see it go, right? Like, I want to see, like, okay, so voxels are a thing, voxels are an idea, you got an idea from Minecraft, and, you know, Xenominer looks like, you know, we're going to add something to it, we're going to mash up too. Guncraft, same thing, you know, it's like, let's have Call of Duty meets Minecraft. Excellent. That's the way we need to go. That's the path that we go in.
Well, a lot of these
build off of each
even look
ideas.
like they step back and go, like, we'll use the style, but not necessarily the mechanics or the concept.
I think it's just a odd symptom of how bad the interface is to Xbox Live Indie games. You know, because it's like a Minecraft clone is a known quantity. So when you go in there, you kind of know what you're going to get for your money. You're not really feeling like, you know, I know what I'm getting here. Whereas some of these other titles, you kind of, the box art, the description's not great. You don't have video on the service. There's no recommendation service on there. The Bing does a crappy job of, like, also check out these games, you know?
I wonder if it's...
Right, so it has nothing to do with that.
I wonder if it's the opposite in the sense that, you know, there are all these communities of people playing Minecraft. You know, they've got these servers set up, and people go in and say, hey, you know, go over to, you know, this place on Xbox Live Indie Games, you know, and, you know, they've got this one particular game. People who would not ever go out to Xbox Live Indie Games normally...
Do you think it's kind of like a guild thing and like an MMO? It's like, hey guys, let's go to Star Wars now, and we all go to Star Wars, and okay, well, you know, this has this one issue we don't like, and so we're gonna go to the next, you know,
or not even that they
go back
move
to WoW
permanently,
now.
like, hey, you should check this out, just because, you know, like I said, people play Minecraft obsessively, so.
And I've also noticed that Steam, I don't know what their algorithm is, but they're doing something to that popular page so that it always has fresh games.
So it's not just always the same.
And I don't know if it's just popular this month or it's popular all time. I don't know what the direct, you know, calculation is on there. But I go back and check the popular list all the time now. Whereas I don't ever check the popular list of Xbox Live Indie games because I can tell you what it is.
Yeah. Right. I know exactly what you mean. There really is no purpose to checking those lists because, like you said, it's static all the time. All the time.
We got one more. We got Pixel. No, wait, it was this. Yeah, Pixel. Holy crap.
Yeah.
No game on Xbox Live Indie games called Pixel? There's Pixel Man, I know that.
Yeah, so if you played
I think there was...
If you played Cube...
Yes.
Yeah, I've not played, I've watched a lot of video on Cube. That's one on there.
Very, very similar to that.
I may even have it in my Steam
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of, yeah.
Oops. No, volume's up. Turn it down.
Pinky needs to move.
I'm sorry, what? I don't know what you're talking about. So the thing here...
If you watch the video of the podcast, you've just been trolled.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I have no clue.
Exactly.
The thing here on this is my concern watching this is always like, I don't want a 3D puzzle platformer like that's my memory of a Nintendo 64, is don't have 3D puzzle platformers. That's all we got from that console. That's all that's remembered from that Nintendo 64. Oh, fine, and do a barrel roll. But that's it. Nothing else.
I'm reading something.
So, have you guys played this one?
Yes, I have.
I played it the other night.
All right, so that's my perception from a video, but what is reality? What are your thoughts on it? I mean, obviously you liked it because it's here.
I don't know. Like I said, it really reminds me a lot of that Cube game. Like it's interesting. I think it has a really cool art style as well. So I think if people enjoyed Cube, I think this game will be right down their alley, type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, basically it is a puzzle platformer in that you have to use your little gun of sorts to kind of stop or start different platforms. So, for example, there's dynamic platforms that are moving left and right in front of you, and you've got to either slow them down, speed them up, or stop them completely to jump from platform to platform, in addition to raising and lowering other ones. It's kind of like you're building the environment out in front of you to get through these small levels. But you're also racing against time, so levels tend to be pretty short. The first few are like 30 seconds is your goal to get through, but it's going to take you 5 to 10 times to figure out how to manipulate these puzzles and the environments and get through them. So yeah, again, it's another puzzle platformer, but I don't know. It's not voxels. I mean, sure there's blocks, but the gun itself isn't a voxel, so I don't know what you'd call this really. It is like Cube. Yeah, definitely art style of that Steam title, Cube.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned in chat, Pixel is Arcadio's game. Are they?
Oh yeah, I think. Yeah, there's another game called Pixel. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Okay. Can you have two games named the same on the service, or is that a?
I guess.
Wait,
I don't know.
Arcado
Arcado
series?
But
series,
Arcado
yeah.
series
'Cause I
would be
think they
named
have
Pixel
the-
Arcado series. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Pixel
right.
Swap.
There was
Yeah, it's Arcado series
there was
there?
hyphen
Pixel
03
something.
Pixel.
It's like
Yeah.
Pixel the Cat or something, I want to say. So I remember reviewed
Pixel
several
Swap,
of those.
Pixel
for-
Snap, Pixel Blocks, something. There's like 3 or 4 of them.
So that runs down like the games.
Yeah.
How has coverage been so far? How much coverage gone out on the Uprising so far?
It's been really crazy. Like it picked up a lot faster than we thought it would. And obviously, Dave knows like how it was in comparison to the Summer Uprising more than I do. But like it seemed like the bigger sites, like Official Xbox Magazine, posted about it like the first day. So I thought that was pretty crazy. And there's still some more sites we're talking with that are pretty big. That they're going to have some coverage pretty soon here. So it's been really great, I think.
Yeah, basically all the major sites that we pitched to picked it up with like the first 12 hours. And since then, we've just been lining up podcasts and things for magazines and print in addition to, online editorials. So it picked up faster than the Summer Uprising. And I think that's because the Summer Uprising was so heavily covered. So people are now aware of the promotions.
Yeah, more aware. Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear that it's building some notoriety and all that. So that I mean, right now it's just obviously it's preview stuff and
Right. So we can't really give a press push now, but maybe next week or so we'll send out one more update before we actually have the final list going out for say, hey, everything's coming out tomorrow.
yeah.
know?
And then ideally, I mean, to me, the ultimate win is not like, hey, look at this Uprising. Is that the joysticks, the Kotakus, some of the others, OXM, they do a review or two. Like somebody says like, hey, I'm actually going to like review one of these games instead of just say like, hey, there's an indie game. I watched the video. Go check it out. Because honestly, Kotaku, fuck you, man. Like, put an effort to a review. I'm sorry. I just remember like we do reviews and we were doing games and you go to Kotaku and like Kotaku will like spike interest in a game and then you read the article and the guy literally just says, I watched the video, this looks cool.
Yeah.
And it's like, how?
Yeah.
Kind
That's
of throwing down thoughts without actually playing anything.
Yeah, and it's like, man, come on, dude. Like, that's your job, man. That's what you do. You review video games. It's $1, man. And you know what? That developer, he'd give you a token. I know it.
Yeah. I mean, even GameSpot does a great job of covering it. They do that weekly feature. It came from Xbox Live indie
do they?
games.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's great. They had Ian Stocker from Scapegoat on last week.
I'll have
I know
to,
some other guys.
I'll
Yeah.
have to put them in my rotation. I don't think I have. I kind of got burned out on a lot of the mainstream press sites, and I started just like unchecking them. And of course, at the same time, I was filling them in with like industry sites, so like more Gama Sutra, less Kotaku, more Develop, less. I do still like OXM. I think OXM.
Yeah. They have a really good indieverse or whatever they call it.
Yeah,
it's really
the
nice.
Indieverse. They do a really good coverage, and also
Yeah, a lot of times Scott Nichols covers that, and he's a good guy. He loves Xbox Indies.
for like I don't. Skype did something at me, and I don't know what it did.
I don't know either, but it chirped.
It chirped. It must be obeyed. All right. I'm assuming we're going out still, and we're good. We'll hear otherwise if not. We're all local recordings, so that's good.
Good sign.
Yeah.
So what was I gonna say? I don't know. I've totally lost.
Losing track of stuff. Oh, you're saying
Yeah.
how the game's getting coverage now, other sites?
Oh yeah. OXM, they do a good job, and it seems like I don't know how official the word "official" is in their title, because like man, some of the most scathing stuff on the Xbox will come from OXM.
Yeah. That's true.
I mean, they'll just rip the new dashboard to pieces, and
Yeah.
all that. I'm like, what's involved in getting the title official? Can I get that? Is it just like a check? Do I just need to mail a check, and then GameMarx is the official Xbox indie coverage site?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they don't care.
Man.
They just sell ad units now. They don't care about anything else.
All right, so whatever's going to get most hits, most clicks.
So, a little bit before the show, we mentioned this, and I want to call it out to the show. I think Dave's watched a lot more videos than I have from 16-Bit Gems on YouTube. I'm definitely gonna have a link to this particular video.
Yeah, I've seen nearly all of them now.
Oh, really? So this one, Rise of the RPG: A History, is simply fascinating. To kind of watch, even though I grew up in this era, so like I grew up at, in the 80s. The Commodore 64s and things like that were at friends' houses. My first was a little bit more advanced. It was a Tandy, but not a TSR 80, but a Tandy 1000. But I mean, like early Ultimas, like the dungeon crawling Ultimas. I kind of didn't get to play them all in a row. Like we skipped around, and so like 2, I think I got off a bulletin board. 4 or 5 I played. 7 I just loved. I mean, 7 was awesome. And then the way that like the United States RPGs, the Western RPGs, were based off of Dungeons and Dragons, and how they
Yes.
kind of evolved. They started off as being like direct ports from D&D, just like we're gonna automate the dice roll, and then kind of became their own little thing. But then the Japanese game developers, were playing the Western RPGs, and then they started making, and then that's Dragon Warrior.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
the first one, the game that I absolutely cannot stand, it's just
Brutal
interesting
difficulty.
of how, like, okay, they're doing it, they're kind of doing their own thing with it, but they bring in, like, their artists are, like, these manga artists and anime artists, right? So they don't draw wizards and trolls, they draw blue slimes,
Blue slimes and orcs and goblins and oni.
Yeah, I mean, they have all these invented characters,
And traditional.
and how that just became kind of like staples, and Dragon Warrior blew up like crazy. Like, I had no idea that
Oh, yeah.
that game was that huge.
Well, I vaguely remember what they were talking about, how there was some sort of giveaway or, some contest. I remember there being coverage in Nintendo Power about the original
Yeah,
Dragon
because in the
Warrior.
timeline, like, Dragon Warrior came to the States like 3 or 4 years after Japan.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe like 87, 88 it came here?
Right,
I
and
don't know.
I think they even mention in the video, like, there's like they don't quite say like, and Mike, but they probably could have, because they said like, some gamers had a problem with it because they had played Legend of Zelda, and
Right, it's just so different.
yeah, it was like, what the hell is this? Like, I've played Legend of Zelda, and that really colored my perception. Also, again,
I played
I'm
Zelda
playing,
too, and I enjoyed both
I'm
of them.
playing the Western RPGs on the computer.
That's one thing I didn't. I had a console long
Right,
before I had
so
a
my
computer.
case were already heavily influenced by that. This thing
Yeah.
was wildly out there. But then it's crazy, like how so that was Enix that put out
Dragon Warrior.
Dragon Warrior.
Quest.
What did that stand for? Do you remember?
Enix?
Enix.
ENIAC?
I had no idea.
It was like a combination of two words. I can't remember.
Did you say you remember, Dave, or?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it was like Enix, the Unix system or something was coming from and something like that. Like, they pointed out, like, Famicom is just a shortening of Family Console, and, like, you know, how, like, all these Japanese names are just, like, they were just shortening two words into one. So, over at Square, which at this point we're not making RPGs, like, this guy's like, yeah, I'm kind of done with video games, and he's kind of out, and you guys probably know his name, because
I don't.
fucking JRPG
actually.
fans.
Actually, back in those days,
well, he's like the creator of Final Fantasy. So, like, he's like out the door, and he's gonna make one more game, and he's like, I like these RPGs. Like, Dragon Warrior's huge. I love Wizardry. We love Ultima. You know, I want to make an RPG before I left it, and supposedly the name of Final Fantasy is because, at least attributed to this guy's video. I don't validate his research, but
I have heard that.
that was
before.
his last
I've heard
game. Was
But
going
I've
to be
heard
Final
in
Fantasy.
separate sources, yes.
I've heard different variations of the rumor. Like that was.
But that was the last one he could afford.
Yeah, that was the last one Square as a company.
And there's a
could afford to
funny
make.
quote by him too, where he was like told explicitly, like, okay, you know, we want an RPG, and obviously, you know, like Dragon Warrior is like, you know, the pinnacle and all that, but we
Right.
don't want a copy. You know, we make it different. And his answer was like, yeah, don't worry about that. I'm not that good.
Okay.
You know.
Actually, I liked
Here we
Final
go.
Fantasy much better than Dragon Warrior.
ENIAC, the world's first digital computer, and Phoenix.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was it.
because it was a re-rising of the company. Because the company
Yeah.
used to sell accounting software
Right.
for the ENIAC.
And one interesting thing I noticed throughout that video, and this may just be the way he presented it, but it seemed like there was always two parallel lines of thought. You had Ultima and Wizardry, then you had Square and Enix. There's always multiple parallel
Yeah, so that was it. That was
lines of thought.
that's
in
where I was going
game
with this. That
development.
in the Western world, Enix with Dragon Warrior found a formula, and then just refined that formula in every edition. And every
Yeah.
Dragon Warrior since has been fucking Dragon Warrior. And
Yeah,
Square
that's true.
decided to throw out and rewrite the game every time. You know, like, we will come up with brand new ideas and take it in a new thing. And it actually created this beautiful dichotomy of, like, Dragon Warrior is the steady true rock, and then Final Fantasy's out there, you know. So even when they later become Square Enix, you know, when Dragon Warrior is not hitting well in the States because it's really late in the generation when the state ports are coming over and all that. Plus they do like major pushes that don't pan out well or something like that. So Final Fantasy is getting successful in the US, but Dragon Warrior sequels were not
Right.
doing as well,
Yeah.
and then they came in trouble. And that's when like Square and Enix kind of joined up. And you know, the Chrono Trigger came out, and then later they become one company. They
Right.
still have
Which is
these
like-
distinct properties of, like, it makes sense to have a Dragon Warrior and a Final Fantasy. And Wizardry and Ultima also had, like, a distinct path that they branched on, where Wizardry went combat focus and all of that. You know, Richard Garriott was very, like, role play and, you know, like, the awesome games, the 4, 5, and 6, that really focused on the virtues and everything. You know, they tried to instill like decisions matter in the world and things like that. And
I think they even had kind of the same pattern as Square and Enix, because I think he said that Ultima was rewritten every time, and the one time it wasn't, it was called Ultima 7 Part 2. or
yes, the
something
Black
like
Isle.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's sold as an expansion pack, and it's longer than the original game.
So much for DLC, huh?
Yeah, back in those days. Well, I also, like, Richard Garrett, you know, since I played his game so early, I've always, like, read bits of him and all that. Plus, he's just such a bizarre, eccentric character, you know? But, like, he got his start, like, he was actually copying a floppy disk at his house, dropping it in a Ziploc bag, putting a sticker on it, dropping it off in local computer shops just at the counter. Like they didn't have like a game section, so there'd be a little basket of floppies
Right.
at the counter, and like I think you could
Floppies
sell them for
so
like
go.
$5 and get like $2 for every one that sold or something. And I love reading things about like that kind of era and time of just like, man, that's just
How
awesome.
different things were. Yeah. Like I don't know how developers got by without Twitter before this. You know,
They were hustlers.
they must have been.
Everyone was a hustler and a pimp.
Oh my god! I mean, I saw Jordan Mechner of Prince of Persia fame speak at NYU a few months ago, and he said he was like 21 when he learned how to program just by reading a book and sitting in his room. And he goes, if you had a problem, you read more books, and that was it. I think, oh my god,
Man, Dave, I checked out books from the library on programming and read. There was no internet in 1985, man.
yeah.
There was no internet in 1990.
There was barely an internet in 1994.
Yeah. There used to have, I don't know how much this dates me, there'd be magazines that you would get, and they would have basic code as an article. Like in Family Computing, there would be an article, and it would have a basic program, and it would be about 2,000 lines that you would sit there and hand key in to get like the shittiest ass graphic, like 2,000 lines of basic, you can't do a whole
You're like,
lot.
whoa, ASCII art, all right.
Well, 321 Contact did that, and that's basically how I learned to program.
Yeah, that was
I had
a
to
lot
kind
of
of
my-
translate it from their version of BASIC to QBasic, and then I do remember hitting kind of the brick wall where I was like, I need to learn something other than BASIC. I want something I can compile, and you just can't go out and get a compiler as a teenager.
Yeah.
You can't afford it.
Yeah, I think at the time, though, if you knew to get Turbo C, there was like a Turbo C Lite
Yeah.
you could get.
I wouldn't have even known where
But
to
yes,
go.
that's the thing. You had to have known that existed to write off to Borland to get a mailed copy of Turbo C Lite. Like, it just wasn't...
Yeah, and now it's like, you can go online and get pretty much anything.
I still think I have my... Somewhere I have my Tandy 1000 Advanced Graphics Programming
You
book.
kids don't know how good
It's
you have
in
it.
one of the boxes in the garage. I saw it 2 days ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Back
that's
in
one
my
of them
day,
I've
uphill
kept.
both ways.
Yeah, so this is a great, I just want to call out, like, this is great to go watch, and, anytime, like, as a game designer, game developer, you watch this stuff,
Yes.
you just start, like, man, we missed, like, there's, like, it could have gone this entire third way, and it didn't, and, like, I have this idea of, like, okay, I can go back, and I can do an old-school JRPG, but I could go this route with it, like, that's not the way it evolved, and maybe I'll come up with something interesting. And,
Or you can definitely see that, again, like, there are all these parallel developments going on, and they share ideas between each other, and you can kind of pick out what those ideas are and assemble.
Any other really good 16-bit Jim episodes, Dave, that
Oh
stick
my
out?
god. Honestly, basically all of them. He has about 15 of them. They took a break this summer, and they just sent a tweet out yesterday saying they're going to start up again at the end of August, beginning of September. So like I said, about 15 videos. I've seen them all, and there's a game in there for everybody. So whether you like Castlevania, he goes 2 videos into that. He goes 2 into Legacy of Gaia, and those style of RPGs. No one the Clock Tower. If you like horror games, Clock Tower is essential. It basically was the precursor or predecessor for Resident Evil and survival horror on the SNES. But yeah, I'd say Clock Tower or the Castlevania episode, definitely.
Since we're, like, talking this stuff, I will... Another great... He didn't do hardly any... God, I just want to talk to your video, dude. Just get past the ad. Past the viewer discussion advised, so I can pause it on the screen. There we go.
Sequelitis.
Sequelitis. There's only, like...
Oh god, why does he make more of
videos?
those?
But, like, I rewatched these, man. Like,
Oh, you and I both. I've seen the Mega Man X one like 7 times.
but there's so much information in those 20 minutes. You're like,
Yes.
crap, I forgot about all this. Like, I need to go make a list of these. I wish he would do more of these sequelitises.
I know. You're like, this guy could be teaching classes on this stuff, you know?
Yeah, he's like a more foul-mouthed version of Extra Credits.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
They're doing, I mean, I tracked him down. He's doing a thing called Game Grumps now,
Okay.
with somebody else, and they're playing, ironically, Link to the Past.
Oh wow.
But it's mostly cutting up and joking around, and there's little game dev commentary, sprinkled through there. But they're doing like 10-minute episodes, and it's slow going, I think, versus the prepared stuff that he was actually. And I can see why he probably only did a couple of these and stopped, because
it's a lot of work too.
It is a lot of work.
I mean, he's an animator, so he's not a developer or anything like that. He just animates.
But I mean, he has
does a great job.
Insight to games.
You know what it is? Every time I go to GDC, everyone has the badges with their name and what they do or where they're from. Every young guy has something that says, "Oh, I'm a game designer," and I always tell them, "Don't wear that, because what is a game designer? Everyone is." But he's one of the few people who I think could like literally pull that off and say, here's why this works, here's why that doesn't work. But yeah, right. He just has insight and perspective that you watch his videos and you're like, wow, it's a great game. Now I understand why it's a great game.
Now, honestly though, fucking love Castlevania 2. So, Ego Raptor, suck it a little bit. Like, Castlevania 2 is kick ass. I don't give a shit about. I know you didn't like all of those little RPG aspects, but man, back in the day, that's all we fucking had, okay? And, like, played the shit out of Castlevania 2. That is the only Castlevania that I've finished. Those games get hard.
Honestly, Castlevania 2 reminds me, a lot of the elements he's talking about kind of remind me a lot of Zelda 2.
So
I totally get what you're...
It almost was kind of like I played...
Take this thing that's mostly action, adventure.
Yep. Zelda 2, I keep wanting to say Link to the Past, and it's not Link to the Past. What's that? That one is
The Adventure
The Adventure of Link.
Yes, it was. I was listening to the soundtrack yesterday too. It's pretty good.
And yes, there's a lot of just finished Zelda 2, Adventure of Link, and goddamn, that was awesome. And I want some more of that. And you know what? Here's Castlevania 2, and it's not Miyamoto, but it's damn good. And so I don't know. I don't know if I have rose-tinted glasses. Maybe I should sit down and play Castlevania 2.
I think the largest issue with those two games was that the first of each of those were very successful. And then people went in expecting to have more of the same the second time around, and they got just the opposite.
Yeah, they were highly different.
One of the things I've noticed going back and playing some of these NES and SNES games is I think I've actually tried to pick up Castlevania 2, and I just don't... I never stick with it just because there is a lot of... They're slower. Like, they're slower paced. You can't skip a lot of stuff. You're kind of forced to go through. There's no automatic save.
No fast travel in the NES era.
Well, there has been another guy went back and corrected a lot of the errors and bugs and released a build on the PC so you can play it through an emulator.
Yeah.
And I know it corrects a lot of those issues. So you may want to look into that if you have a hard time with the NES version.
Simon's Redaction or something like that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think the guy on the Sequelitis mentioned that when he talked about...
Oh, okay.
I've wanted to go back and play it, but I just don't know that I would...
Yeah, it's like, do you have that patience now?
So much I've forgotten about that game that I do not want to have to map it out.
Right. It's like, oh, of course I have to kneel in the corner and hold down to have a tornado pick me up. What was I thinking?
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that too. I think there was I don't know if they've done an actual game... But there is a translation effort on Chrono Trigger.
Oh yeah, I saw you talking about this last week.
Well,
but
yes,
at least differences on the DS version.
Not just like the DS version was retranslated by Square Enix.
Right. So it actually makes sense in some parts.
There were changes made that even stuck in the retranslation. So there's some like translation errors, but which get fixed. But some of the translations change entire characters. And the one that I was reading on here of like, here's what Frog actually said in the Japanese version, and that was thought to be too rude of a character and would be highly offensive in the US. So like, he was not the Shining Knight character, he was a straight up dick. Like he pretty much calls like Isla a retard,
And honestly, I would not have wanted to play the game. I would not have
they were right for
wanted
making
to play
the
that
change.
character. because of that.
As a frog talking old English for no damn reason, he was cool.
Yeah.
I didn't queue up much news, but I did queue up this one article here that Zynga offered to port Fez to mobile.
Wow.
And it says Polytron, which is Philfish. Like, he was all over Twitter, which, again, like, Zynga should have known. Like, if you approach Phil Fish,
He will
anything,
talk about everything.
yeah, it's on Twitter. You might as well just assume.
Go to Twitter first.
Do they care? I mean, really. Zynga, bad press.
Yeah, so that's
Well,
the
I think
shocking
they
thing
care
is
more
not
now.
the shocking thing is not like Polytron and Phil Fish saying no. The shocking thing is like, what did Zynga plan to do with? Like, was that an attempt to get legit? Like, change up and like,
Yeah,
okay,
no,
here's
really.
some non. Or were they going to
We
be
can't
like,
clone legit, but we can buy it out.
or were they going to be like, okay, every puzzle you were going to like pay to unlock or something, or
Oh my god, I can only imagine.
It was
Yeah.
going to be bad, and it was going to be money laundering for whatever crap else they're going to do. That's
Jeez.
all I think.
yeah, I mean, even Phil Fish joked like the first dimension would be free.
Yeah.
And you would pay to unlock.
Every rotation is going to cost you, one retweet.
Anyone want to give odds on which company it lasts longer, Nokia or Zynga? Anyone
Oh
want
god. Well, Zynga's about to tank.
What,
We'll want
exactly is
Facebook pretty
Nokia
soon.
doing right now?
Nokia has announced they're doubling down on the Windows platform. They're
Oh
all
my
in,
God.
baby.
I'm gonna say, and this is just hopeful. I'm just hopeful. I would hope Nokia would hold out longer.
I think Windows.
What's Nokia going to make? Microsoft's making tablets, so they're
I'm
going to
not
continue
saying what-
making phones.
I'm not saying what will likely happen. I'm saying what should happen.
Yeah.
Dear God, I hope Nokia lasts longer, just for.
Well, somebody will buy
No
it
good
for
deed
the
goes
name alone,
unpunished.
but I mean, at that point, it'll be a different company. You know.
Oh yeah.
Because I've had Nokia phones, and they're pretty darn good when they're up to date.
It's not a vote for Nokia. It's a vote
When they're up to
against
date.
Zynga.
It's a vote against Zynga.
Yes.
Right. It's like the lesser of two evils, right?
Much lesser.
Yes.
Much lesser.
All right. I wanted to give a shout out here for Dave. Pong without cats
Well,
is
then
going
what
to playtest soon, correct?
Yeah, probably Sunday. If I can get it to go full screen, it's gonna go on Sunday probably.
Get it to go full screen.
Yeah, apparently I had it working full screen before, and now a few minutes ago I tried to make it go full screen again. It says that you can't reach the graphics device. I don't know.
On
Other
the
than that,
Xbox, or are
game's
you talking about
totally
just
fine.
on a PC?
On Xbox. I actually haven't deployed to the Xbox yet. I've just been playing on the PC. So, yeah, it's the only issue I've run into at the moment, though.
Because I don't think
So,
you have an
yeah.
option on the Xbox. You're full screen or nothing, right?
Yeah, it's like all the way.
So yeah, definitely check that out. So developers, this is your chance, man. This is your chance to take out like all that angst on Dave for like a review
That's right.
on Armless Octopus.
That's the truth. But yes, it took me a while. But yes, it started when you and George Klingerman were saying, "Oh, hey, you should try Dreamville Plays coming up. You should learn to program." And then here's the result of that conversation 4 months ago.
Which I guess we're not going to get a 2-phase Dreamville play this year. It seems like it's
Yeah.
on their site. Excuse me. On their site is conflicting information. You go to the homepage, it says, "Hey, check back August 20th," and or in August, I think it says, and we'll announce the finalists. And then you go to the rules, and I swear they've been updated. I mentioned this last week, but the
Yeah, I
rules
know
say
those
like
as well.
finalists and winners will be announced September 2nd, or the week of September 2nd. So I don't think we're gonna get an August update
Yeah.
on
well,
that.
I spoke to the person I know at Microsoft yesterday, and that's Jers. He's like their new exploit coordinator, and he said that they had sent out an email to the 20 finalists a week and a half ago, stating or trying to find out whether or not they're still eligible, whatever that means. I guess some may have released already, or made contracts with publishers or something. And once he heard back from that, then he said that they would announce. So I don't know what they're still waiting on at this point.
Okay.
We think they'd have like a little more transparency. I don't know.
Yeah, so you have some confirmation to the Twitter discussion. So last week we kind of reported that, and I just kind of reported that as rumor. That
Yeah, no, that was it. And he said like it's free to tell everyone and hand out. So that was it.
So if you don't have an email in the inbox,
Chances are.
don't.
Yeah, and this this is my conversation 10 days ago. So if you haven't received it 10 days ago, then
Check your spam folder. But at this
that's
point,
right.
No, I think they call. I don't think they email. I think they call.
That would
That's what they said. Like, some of the guys last year said that they got a phone call. So,
but they were making an effort to contact and say, hey, because you want to confirm status. I think just double check. Like, I think we read through the rules, but I'm sure not everybody does. And it's like there's little gotchas in there, and make sure that all that before you announce, and then have to redact because that gets messy.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, and right now too. Now is a great time because if you have to like sub one out, it's real easy to do that. It's harder once you put the
You
list
kind of
up.
announce everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then plus they get a lot of these guys going down to PAX and stuff where they have a booth for Dreamville Play. So PAX Prime is like their big push for the marketing of those games.
I mean, I'm still glad that we got Captain Dubstep in. That we hit a goal there. We hit a milestone. Once we saw Axum Verge, we were like, yeah, fuck it, we're out.
The game looks great.
Yeah, we're like, of the category of games that are ripping off Metroid, we don't even get honorable mention anymore. Like Axum Verge,
And there are two.
Yeah, we don't even rank. We don't even rank anymore on that. Although looking at that, we've kind of like also taken a hard look at ours of like, okay, we can't. We got to do some hardcore features, and like we were like,
have to change.
we're like, yeah, parallaxing doesn't matter. And we said like, okay, we got to get in there. We got to parallax.
Like, okay, maybe it does. Yeah.
Well, we would
all
have-
that graphics that I thought I was getting better at. I'm just like, I am still so new.
Well,
Yeah, you realize how frustrating it can be sometimes, right?
we just have to ship. That's all we have to do. We don't have to be Axiom Verge.
And
be the best thing in the world,
the other thing, and we got like some things in chat. I didn't point them out, but somebody was in the chat asking like, "Hey, I'm here for Captain Upstep updates. What's going on?" And I just kind of like ignored it. I was gonna come on the podcast and let everybody know I'm sick of that fucking game. I fucking hate
I know
that
you
game's
get sick of
face.
staring at something for too long after a while.
Yeah. I want nothing to do with that game right now.
If we had taken more than 10 weeks to get to where we
Right,
are,
yeah, we did like kind of.
everything would be.
And I also was organizing like at the same time a 400-person conference.
Yes.
That also had like that was going on. Like we submitted the week before the conference. Like it was
Yes.
right on top of each other. So major hard push.
And honestly, I think any game project that you see through to the end, you're gonna hate by the like midway somewhere in the process.
So I have
Yeah.
But not quite
taken
as
a
much as we
break.
hate.
You've actually gotten back into the code, played around a little bit.
Very, very briefly.
Yeah. So you can do a lot more than you've done some. You've looked at the code. You can do a lot more to look at this code than I can right now. I don't even want to see it. And so we've kind of discussed like, okay, we kind of need to figure out how would we do parallaxing in our engine based on the things that we've built around. We got to add that in, an easy way to edit that. And then we have a heavily dependence on Nick Gravelin's tiled engine, tiled lib, and we need to decouple ourselves from that so that we could do some things that we're going to do. And then also, I think a game that I started messing with a while back was Draco Wing. And I think I'm gonna like pick that back up and kind of play with that, but use that as my prototype engine for our own tiled map importer.
Yeah.
And then like, okay, yeah, it seems like this works. I mean, we've talked about it many times on the podcast. I'm a big fan
Were you
of
guys using
tiled.
Nick Gravelin's thing before?
What's that?
Was it EasyLib or TileLib? Is that what you were using before?
Yeah,
Nick Gravelin's
tiled lib.
thing?
Which Nick has actually dropped a lot of the code from the project. So Nick dropped all the runtime components. So he really is only maintaining now the content pipeline importer side and you have to write the content pipeline runtime component pieces.
Okay.
We kind of didn't like the way it was laid out in some things.
Well, there's
and
something...
it was tightly coupled to Sprite Batch, which...
Yeah.
And Nick has these little weird ways of doing things, or at least they strike me as weird. So, like, in his tiled lib, instead of saying, like, draw this region to that region, you know, here's the X and Y tiles to draw, we just want to draw this subset, you pass in, like, an offset negative value matrix transform of the camera.
Yeah.
Which then puts it in the right location. And it's, like, really awesome when you see it in the tiled lib example project, because you're like, holy crap, that's a really cool trick. Then you go and try to put a HUD on the screen and realize there's this matrix translation fucking everything up.
You have to account for
and you'll have to constantly reaccount for it, and it's very punishing performance-wise in XNA to keep calling begin end on sprite batch, so you don't want to do that necessarily, just because you don't want to put the effort into understanding the matrix math. But then at some point you get pissed off and you're like, damn it, I just want to pass in, give me this region.
Well, what's crazy is rewriting it is almost necessary because we want to dig in and do things in the internals. We want to have tiles and objects inherit properties from the tile sheet. And that, it's not done by default, and I don't know how easy it would be to do, but there are places where we have to get in and know about what's going on behind the scenes. We can't just drop his code in. It's kind of like the Spriter libraries I used. We grabbed a beta from the forums, the Spriter
Which, by the way,
forums.
Spriter has dropped a new beta with a lot of features and all. Like, this is their big, like, I know we've been quiet for 3 months, so here's our giant update that we had to get done before we could do our micro updates. Unfortunately, excuse me, you cannot save in this version.
Really?
Yeah, they're like worried about, like, you know, just so you don't have any bugs, lose any work, you can't save, you can just play with it. Which effectively make it fucking useless for testing, because we need to be able to adapt our code to the new version, and only by using it as our main version will we find all these edge cases. I can fire it up and play with it for 30 minutes, but I'm not going to give it a real workout until I have to use it for the game.
Right. But the funny thing with the libraries there was there's places in Captain Dubstep where I'm not completely, like, editing the content classes themselves and rewriting them, but all the rendering code I'm just rewriting because I have to go in and tweak something somewhere. And that's where we are with TileLib, really.
Well, we were going to initially modify and submit pull requests back to Nick on his project. That's the way we set up to do it. But when he dropped the runtime side of it, then we kind of said, well, now we're going to be so deep in this anyway. Like,
might as well finish it.
The importer side, to me, is kind of easy. That's parse the XML file. That's easy to me because I'm a business developer, and so I parse XML every day, you know, and I'm like, I'm fine with that.
Well, I mean, if, you know, get data from point A to point B is easy, you know, figuring out what to do with that data.
I mean, especially on the Visual Studio importer side, because there's no performance worry.
Yeah.
You know, you're just staging that stuff
Take as long as you want, use whatever method you want.
Exactly.
No one cares,
so,
really.
I'll use that on our Draco Wing game. That's kind of where we're at. I'm also trying to get funkworks.com. I'm not going to link to it in the show notes, but if you go hit funkworks.com like right now, you'll kind of see like the new template design that I got up. And I'm going to get rid of... So one thing we kept doing is I would always go out and get a new domain. So I got dracowing.com, I got captaindubstep.net, I got Rocks the game, I got, you know, like every game I'd get a domain. And we set up a WordPress site, and then I'd never actually finish scanning it or anything like that. And at Captain Dubstep, at least I think I finally just got a Tumblr and put some things to it. So it had a site. But then I kind of realized, like, this is a bad move. I really should put all of our games on funkworks.com and let them have their all microblogs off of funkworks.com as one WordPress site. So if anybody, let's say Joystick, they thought Captain Dubstep was a stupid idea, haha, that's funny, they click through it, I want them to see all that we do. I want to see Xbox Indies, I want to see GameMarx, I want them to see the conferences, and that way we seem like legit.
One coherent large thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like more than we we could be individually.
Oh hell,
Yeah.
Dragon Tease is up on that thing. They will see the success and the failures.
The failures and the more failures.
Well, I mean, it's at least there. It represents something we did.
My Red Ring
Right,
Death
so you guys
shirt
been at
was
it for a
bomb,
while,
but
you know?
that was great.
So I'm gonna kind of get our own house in order with our websites and do that, and then I have to check into some plugins and things like that. I still have the desire to make GameMarx a press release version like Xbox Indies, so that it's not game review news aggregated. And I really just want it to be press releases. I don't want dev logs on there. We kind of did this with XNA Last Dance, but I'm like, if it's going to be valuable for journalists, it really just needs to be straight up press releases only, kind of like a gamespress.com.
Right, with like a little too long didn't read at the top.
Yeah. And what I want to do there is moderate a little bit. Not so much moderate, but like I want to be able to easily kick back to a developer and say, hey, this can't go live because a press release needs to have an about your company at the bottom. And then like after a few times you kind of get what a press release looks like, what Kotaku's looking for in a press release, then it's like, yeah, you publish on your own. I'm not going to approve you anymore. I talked to, we have some people in Knoxville that work for WordPress. They work for Automatic. Mm-hmm. And so like, I go to our WordPress meetup group and I kind of like went by and pitched him the idea. And so I got like a nice list of like, yeah, you could probably get this plugin and that plugin, which is good because it keeps me away from having to develop this stuff.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to try to get that up because we had some success, I think. It was kind of fun with that. You know, and also, like you mentioned earlier, Dave, with like how horrible the
contact
info section was on Dreamville Play.
Yeah.
Hammer the devs like, okay, we have a contact page. You have to fill this out in detail, all the different ways that these journalists, because if we actually succeed, and success in this case is Kotaku or Giant Bomb or they add this to their email list or they add this to their RSS feed. I don't care if they ever mention GameMarx.
At least they're aware of it.
Right. When they click through, they're gonna want the information, man, because these guys get bombarded left and right, and I think we might get something interesting. My hesitancy on that, is just like, man, it's just another project.
Yeah,
it takes time. It's time consuming, like anything else.
It's the type of thing that has to have critical mass on both ends, both the press and the developer side.
All right. I'm just scanning through chat.
That one guy was asking about the dashboard promotion, right?
Yeah, we don't know anything about that yet.
Yeah, we're still in the talks.
Yeah, and that's the catch-22, right? Like Microsoft will cover it if it's successfully covered in mainstream press, right?
Yes, and we also have to get all the games done with peer review too.
And
like they have to make sure they can't go out and say, "Oh, these games are coming out on Xbox Live Indies," and have them not pass.
Have they in the past started the dashboard promotion before the games were all out, or did they kind of wait? No. They were all out and then they rounded them up.
Last year, I think they waited until they were all out. I think the day the last one came out.
And then it goes up, yeah. So the dashboard promotion, if it does happen, it's always hard to gauge sales, man, but I do kind of wonder, like, I'm not hearing good sales out of XBLA guys anymore.
I know. Oh, I was just talking about this in an interview the other day, and that was someone asked, what do you think about the latest dashboard update for XBLIG? And on one hand, it's great because it puts us on an even ground with XBLA. But on the other, XBLA, that's not a good position to be in right now because they're getting screwed. They're just as hidden as XBLIG. And if you pay a lot of money for that, or a publisher, you're buried among the rough too. You're literally 7-8 clicks over where you were 9 before.
At least 3 voice commands.
Yeah, and Dust mentioned in the chat there. Dust has been doing really well, and on the Giant Bombcast this week, they were just basically talking about Dust, and like they were basically saying like that saved the Summer of Arcade. Otherwise, the Summer of Arcade this year was kind of
it's a flop. Yeah.
And, like I was like, go XNA, man, Indies, It's like, Dust. Of course, they don't realize that. They don't, that means nothing to them, and it means nothing to the average gamer. But I'm thinking, like,
It's an Xbox arcade.
It's another like Bastion and Dust and I think Limbo is XNA.
Faz uses XNA too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's another one of who's like, why are you killing XNA, motherfuckers? Like, look at all these like guys that are,
I know.
these are
I know.
serious ass games. You know?
Or even like, oh god, it gets me so frustrated because if Microsoft just paid one guy to handle all this stuff for XBlig, I'm not even saying you pay the guy a fortune, but just someone whose goal is to attract developers to this platform, to this pool, and say, here's what we have. We've already invested in the education, in the forums, in the technology behind it. Keep pushing people over this way. Like now we have the Ouya coming out. That wouldn't even be a consideration if Microsoft took control of XBlig in the first place. Like people are looking for a platform to publish indie games on with a great framework, and now they're making, you look at how the Ouya lit fire, a couple weeks ago. Whether or not you're for it or against it, but like that wouldn't be anything if XBlig took care of itself.
All you gotta do is go to any Gabe Newell article and just see the comments of like Steam console,
Yeah.
Which he had a funny thing. I didn't cue it up for the news, but he had a good statement, like the Kotaku or somebody covered, of like he hopes he's wrong about Windows 8.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong about Windows 8, which is a nice, just wonderful passive aggressive move. Like somebody said that to me at the office, like, you see Gabe Newell? He like hopes he's wrong about Windows 8. I'm like, we all do. We all.
Yeah.
Do.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, Tested. I was listening to Tested podcast, man, and it was just not a ringing.
I love that show.
Of Windows 8. It was just kind of like it's there,
Will Smith was talking about it yesterday.
Like I don't know.
Like we're talking about earlier, there's really just no reason to upgrade at the moment.
Only when forced.
Yeah.
So Kickstarter. Let's wrap up some of these Kickstarters here. Kickstarters this week. The first one that I called out this week, Fortis Rex: Rise of the King. This one didn't seem to out of the gate come out storming. It was launched yesterday, and it's only got like $15. But I mean, the graphics, like I was looking at it and I was like, graphics look pretty decent. This looks like kind of a Skyrim-ish RPG, and it looks like he has quite a bit of work done already. I think even in the video he mentions a couple years that he's been at on this game. I mean, you see like inventory systems go in, and
It's kind of pretty.
It does look kind of good. Like it definitely could use like that artist pass to like
Fine tune.
It looks like 98 to 2001 era 3D, right? Like you get used to a lot of shaders and effects and processing touches in our advanced games.
Flare!
It's in that uncanny valley of the 3D games, but it does look good. And he's going for epic RPG, with your inventory customization, crafting, gameplay. When you launch the video, it does kind of set up a little story, so it's not one of these. A lot of times on Kickstarter, you'll see these like build a great game engine.
Yeah.
But it's an RPG, dude. Like, where's the story? Where's, even Diablo has a story. So,
yeah, I mean, some of these guys have really got to start paying attention to your podcast and all the advice you give. I mean, the first thing that pops in my mind here is one backer, $15 of the $25,000 goal. That's an issue right there. You should load your, what's the way I'm looking at it? Load your funds right away. Maybe have 10 friends or 10 backers, or you have 10 bank accounts.
Do you not have friends and family? It's just
it's there's nothing like misleading or mischievous about it.
To donate here.
Right, like this is what people do for tips all the time. Like my brother worked in an ice cream store, and I tell him, Steve, put dollars in your tip jar. That's why people say, "Oh, I'm supposed to put money in there."
Right. I don't want to be the asshole that doesn't.
Right. Exactly.
Other people think this guy is cool.
And I've said when we've talked about Kickstarter, I don't know on the podcast, but I know I've said it in my presentations. You can cancel a pledge. So like, just be straight. Like, dude, pledge me $25, and if like the end of the month goes and like you work at Walmart too. If that's a big deal, just cancel it, man. Just back it out, Because if that $25 mattered at the end, then, it's probably not. Like the odds of Kickstarter, it's either going to be a joke or it's going to be overfunded. And it's kind of disingenuous because like there's obviously a game that you can play there of like
it's very close to like eBay shill bidding.
Right. But hey, if it's not your account and you're not making fake accounts to do it, and these guys are doing it, but yeah, come on, $5-10, they're your friends. They'll kick it in, get off of 0. That's the real thing. Because like when somebody comes and they see 0, nobody wants to back the loser.
Right. The issue is, no one else is supporting it. Why should I?
Right. Like this looks good to me, but I must be missing something.
Yeah.
Right. $25,000, I think, is a reasonable good price too. This next one is let's get this name right. Nuclear Eclipse Online, Neo FPS, and essentially the pitch here is this is a let's get out of his thing to the video. This is a Fallout style first-person RPG. So if you've done like a New Vegas type Fallout, the later Fallouts, that's what he's going for. Again, spent a considerable amount of time in this game. Now he doesn't have like a long list of like, or at least he wasn't bringing up a long list of like, hey, I've done this and I've done that, and this is this. It definitely looks like from the gameplay he's got up that he can execute. But he is asking for $50,000, so that seems a steep hill for him to climb.
Yeah, especially if it's a small team or just him.
Yeah.
But I mean, the game does look pretty sharp. I'm watching the gameplay videos too, and
it does.
Yeah. But it's in a tough market too. First-person shooter, especially military style. People may be burned out by that at this point.
It could be, and he does get into like zombies basically, and that is kind of played out as well. Forget into that one. Now this one has picked up. This next one, Chivalry, Medieval Warfare. It's picked up about $7,500 towards its $5,000 goal.
Oh wow!
Already, and this is a medieval FPS, and it's a melee first-person. It's a first-person melee. It's not a first-person shooter. It's a first-person melee. So just imagine like Team Fortress Classic, and everybody has hatchets and runs at each other. I kind of watched it, and I was like, that just is chaos, man. That is just like some kind of like crazy chaos where you got like 64 people in a multiplayer game, but they don't have guns. Like they're running at each other with clubs and stuff, and like beating the crap out of each other.
I shall shiv you in the eye.
With a name like chivalry, that's kind of ironic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. But and he goes on to describe like he's wanting you to have the experience of
a knight in the Middle Ages.
A knight in the Middle Ages of Braveheart. Like that's what he's going for here. It's great. He's got the online focus. I'm not a big online guy, so if it kind of had like a single player campaign mode, not like crazy over the top story and all that, but just like a StarCraft level of type thing, I think I'd almost be backing this, but I think as it is now, but it's an online thing, and I just get owned in these things. Like I'll go in and
you and I both.
Yeah,
I think that's what happens as you get older. Your online talents slowly get worse and worse, and it's certainly happened in my case.
And what'll be sad here is it won't be a case of like, fuck these kids with the goddamn no scope across the screen. Like he will have run up to me. I will have seen him coming, and he still would have laid my ass out no matter what. On the way to like his next point. So, but that does look pretty interesting. That does look like a good one. This one blew up this week. Planetary Annihilation. A next generation RTS. You watch the video, it's not hard to see why. Now, they've almost got $400,000, so holy crap. I would have said yesterday that this looks amazing. It would have gotten funded. They should have asked for $400,000 instead of $900,000, right? Because that is just an insane number.
Wow, impressive video.
But they are out. They came out August 15th.
Mm-hmm.
They are 2 days out and have almost half their goal. So they're going to get it. I think they're gonna get it. This is going to be the next darling success story. So the RTS of this one basically is a throwback to Total Annihilation. So if you played TA, and I think this is like the developers of TA I might be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. I might be confusing this with another one that have the developers on their game that just can't use the name of the game anymore because they don't actually own the rights to it. It's locked up in like a publisher and a folded studio and all that. Mm-hmm. But the thing with Total Annihilation, TA, when RTSs were huge, was, TA was just like an insane number of units that just were cannon fodder, thrown again and again and again. It's kind of like in the StarCraft world now, everybody is Zerg, and it's Zerglings nonstop. Also, like, the number of units were insane. Like, it was hard to really plan deep strategies in TA where, like, there'll be 20 units tops for a faction in StarCraft. And you can kind of understand the 20 units of each team, what they do, know what they do. I don't even think there's 20. There might be 15. Not a lot of units. Whereas when you would go play a TA game, you might have 200 units. And, it's really hard to come up with definitive strategies based on that because there's so many crazy units. So it was a different crowd of gamer, and I think that's why this is doing so well. Plus, it looks gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
Alright. This one is a first. That's why it's on here. And they're already funded, but I expect them to get DMCA takedown. By the way, since I track Kickstarter so closely, if you get a DMCA takedown notice, your project is deleted. It doesn't get a suspension. Wow. It no longer exists.
It gets disappeared.
It gets disappeared. It gets gone. I don't like that they do that, and I don't like that they're doing that off of takedown notices because I have tracked down...
Because anyone can throw it up, yeah.
I have tracked down the people who had the projects. Some of them successfully funded. Like they were just waiting for their time to run out. And so there was a lot of backers and forums and stuff complaining, going, what in the hell went on? They don't even get an opportunity. You don't get an email that says, hey,
let's fight this.
You have a complaint. We've suspended funding for the moment. Please, address this or work it out. It goes head down. So what I'm talking about...
What's stopping someone from griefing someone else,
Yeah, some of these are kind of obvious of like, you cannot say that, hey, it's non-profit and put it on Kickstarter. Like, that doesn't fly. Just because you're going to give it away doesn't make it non-profit. So there's been a couple, like, Zelda remakes, and there was that Final Fantasy...
the music
remix
collection.
Yeah, the OC Remix collection that got taken down. Like, once you're selling it, I know you say you're giving it away for free, but once you put money in that game, all of a sudden your little fan remixes that they were fine to leave alone, like, they're gonna step up and protect their rights. So some of it's kind of naivety, some of it's like, that was within their rights. I don't think they should be taken on. Anyway, what I'm talking about here is Tales of the Drunken Paladin Skyrim. I think this marks the first ever Kickstarter to do a plug-in to another game, to do a mod to Skyrim, basically.
Can't be the first. Not after all this time. Like,
it's the first one that I've seen. The first one that I've caught.
I've seen them try to do it legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these guys are going to try to do a mod, try to do like some Tale of the Drunken... I forget what it is. Some Tale of the Drunken Paladin.
I watched this. It's a cute little crappity crap. I've watched one or two of the drunken...
It's a meme type thing, right? Like it's a little YouTube humor thing.
Yeah.
And so, like, now they're going to bring him to his own little mod, which, they're looking for $600. They've got 1,000.
So they're only looking for 600.
Yeah. So they're funded.
Not bad at all.
They're funded. It'll be interesting to see if there's any takedown notice. We are talking about Bethesda. They seem to not like their name being used.
Yeah, really. Scrolls.
We are all scrolls.
Where are people getting confused? I don't even know what the hell Elder Scrolls,
Next one up this week, Mercenary Kings. So, 2D gameplay. Is this the one that I have to go to, do they have a gameplay video down below? Yes, they do. So this is a Dream Build play game. That was entered. Whoa, that was loud. So this is kind of a Metroidvania, I think they describe it as, but you just have this wonderful pixel art, like commando style setting, with a whole like weapon crafting system built in, and it looks really good. And it's a Dream Build Play, so this is another XNA game. And it seems to be gaining some following. So, like, it was released the 14th, so that was Tuesday, and they have $40,000 of their $75,000 goal. So, I think these guys are going to get funded. And you know, if you have an interest in this, the art style is charming. It really looks good. I don't know if they submitted like playtest or anything. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one too. It has a very Metal Slug vibe to it, you know, from Neo Geo days.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is like the gameplay is supposed to be more expansive than that. You know, so it's not going to be a linear scrolling shooter, you know. Has me piqued interest. Let's see. So, this is our weekly big license title, Doing It Wrong.
Okay.
The official Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time game launches, which there was a Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time game. Came out around 2002.
It was a first-person shooter, though.
But it was awesome.
It
tied in
it
well.
Could be so much more.
And it kicked ass. It kicked ass.
I played a little of it.
I loved it. It tied in well enough with the verse that you could get on with it. You know, like it was very cool. It had a very cool story to it. The thing on this one, the one reason I'm digging it, the reason I'm not even playing the video right now, is there's no video of the game. There's no video of the game. There's no real discussion of the gameplay. Just, it's the Wheel of Time, and it'll be Wheel of Time awesomeness. So give us...
What was your statistic on this a couple weeks ago about how successful Kickstarters are without videos, right?
Yeah.
So that was of videos in general. It does actually have a video. It doesn't have gameplay.
There's no gameplay.
So gameplay is my hypothetical. I haven't been able to, because I would have to sit down and watch each one and judge whether it had gameplay.
Right.
But personally, man, actually there's a lot of Kickstarters I choose not to cover because there's no gameplay of the video, and it's like, I need to see some gameplay. Everybody has an idea, but I need to see some execution here before I'm going to cover it on the show. And you were mentioning about, like, more gamers need to see, more should see, like, some of the stuff that we do. I do have plans in the works. Remember, we used to break off the new releases of the week, like, kind of do that again for Kickstarters. And then also, I want to work this out and get this up as a separate YouTube video and maybe cover some more of them, and then maybe even have, like, how do I want to call it, losers of the week? But, you know, I do want to kind of, like, have, like, 100% coverage, but then say, like, okay, that's the end of the show, and I didn't cover these because they have no gameplay video, and I didn't cover these because, seriously, they were not, you know, they're free-to-play iOS games, you know.
Kind of go over what they're doing wrong.
Yeah. So they're also asking for $500,000, $450,000 for this Wheel of Time game.
$500,000, it's a lot of money to make a game. Well, not really, but for Kickstarter it is.
It is, and, you know, no gameplay up.
Yeah, that's a pretty large leap of faith for quite a few people.
So next one here is Wings Director's Cut, and this is a HD remake of an Amiga game called Wings. So I guess that is a nostalgia button for some people. But man, remember my no boobs rule?
I've never heard of this.
Wings or my no boobs rule? So Wings I've not really heard of. I don't know. It's an
like
an
the
Amiga
series. It was
series.
Wings over whatever.
I don't know. It might have just been called Wings, honestly. Like, this is really old. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the source game. But the entire video is really like, hey, wouldn't it be awesome if they remade this game with this...
Looks like the old Red Baron, if you ever played that on PC.
With this model in there, and her chest just all up in the screen, you know, low zipper cut type thing. Which, again, all that says to me is like... Okay, guys, I'm going to level with you. I'm going to give you truth. you're not going to get to touch these boobs. Okay? No level of backing this project is going to let you touch these boobs. And these boobs are meant to distract you from something else.
And the zipper wasn't low enough.
Or the lack of.
She leans into the
else.
camera several times.
Okay.
So it's looking like the
you have
zipper.
studied this.
Well, like as I
He does.
watched the video, man, before I do the recommendation type thing. But yeah, so she'll do several moments leaning in and jumping up and down type stuff and sultry type stuff. And it was funny. He's got these guys from Germany with thick German accents coming in, doing little not quite funny moments. Just so you go from like this crazily like so for a model who obviously has nothing to do with the game, she's actually pretty good at delivering her lines. Like, it's not painful, like, oh my god, she's reading a cue card and she doesn't even know the words she's saying, right? No. She does a good job of that. So it's not that kind of atrocious. But when you cut from this well-produced bit to, like, this webcam guys in the office screwing around, it's horrible.
Kind of jarring.
They have $30,000 of their $350,000 goal. It did launch last week. So this was a Friday game that launched August 10th. So it's been up for a week. So they're not...
Yeah.
They got 24 days to go. At this rate, it's not happening, but I don't think Kickstarters progress linearly. So I don't have data on that. It just seems like they get off at the start, they go steady, and then they have a boost at the end. Alright, let's see. I don't know that... Alright. Skype's talking to me again, but...
Yeah, it's me sending a message.
I don't have, like, the right window
I heard
going
you
or
typing,
something.
but I wasn't certain.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Like, you guys have been sending messages, and I know I'm breaking the fourth wall here, but, like, I didn't have the screen up, so I had no idea where the hell these messages were going.
Oh, that's why it's
Hear
going a
them
little beep
typing?
beep every now and
Them
then.
typing.
Yeah.
Typing.
But, yeah. So we got, like, 4 projects, and then we're out for the night. All right.
Perfect.
Let's get through this. Phantasmagoria?
Phantasmagoria.
It's on here because it's funded. It's $1,000. The guy has $2,000. Basically, he's making an RPG game.
When I think Phantasmagoria, you know?
Yes. That's a whole different thing. So this is a little RPG game. It looks a lot like RPG Maker, but he actually like talks in the project and all that of like not using RPG Maker because it locks him into some rigidity that he doesn't want to be locked into. Needs
He's
a
like a
grand.
college kid, too.
Needs a grand to get this done. He puts up there. He's got his project, been working on it a lot, has something to show for it. I think he's do well. I think, you know, don't underestimate a small amount, you know. If you just need, you know, a few $1,000s will help you. That seems to work. If you've been working at it, that seems to work.
Yeah, really. I mean, like games like this, I'm all for supporting because it's kind of getting that young indie guy off the ground, and that $1,000 goes a long way for a lot of these guys.
It's almost kind of
you know?
sad to admit it. It's like, I really don't care to play your game, dude.
It's like mental support for them too. You know?
But I'm just going to give you some support, dude. Like, go you. No, I don't want to play your game. Don't ask me to play your game. But go you, you know.
Right,
Get out there and do your thing. I got our Voxel game here. Voxelverse. Creativity Unleashed. This... Why did I start this, actually, now? Oh, a sandbox RPG game... RPG engine thing. Go crazy.
So you do more than mining and crafting.
I know why I did this. Like, I could not have covered this seriously. I would not have covered this seriously. This thing has...
This thing.
4 levels of sub-voxeling. So, like, you can voxel, quarter voxel, half voxel, 8th voxel, 16th voxel. They've broken the 16th voxel. I'm like,
Doesn't
no.
that just mean most of your blocks are 4x4 voxels?
Yes! That's exactly what that means. You don't have sub-voxels, dude. You've just assigned a smaller unit.
Yeah, really.
So, I don't know.
Static.
Crazy type thing going on. David Crane's Jungle Adventure. So this is the one that doesn't have the name that he's making a sequel to, but he doesn't have a name to make the sequel. David Crane made Pitfall and Pitfall 2, right? Like, he's in there. Now, there's somebody else doing all the talking, giving you the background of who he is, what he does. So it actually comes off kind of nice, where he's talking about all the good games that this guy's made, and that Pitfall and Pitfall 2 are, like, one of the only, like, games in the Smithsonian. So, like, they're on display because it's, like, the first, like, platforming adventure game or something.
Yeah, especially in the early 80s.
Love that game on Atari, man. Never finished that game. So anyway, it's basically like, hey, we want to do a new Pitfall, essentially. So there's not a lot of gameplay up because it's kind of like, hey, we've got David. I wonder if he walks around and does like the Denny Crane thing from.
Just because his last name is Crane.
I would do it. I would walk in and like, Denny Crane's here. Denny Crane thinks this is a good idea. Yeah, I would do it. David Crane, sorry.
I would try to do a Rick
Anyway.
James type deal. It's Rick James.
I just want to confirm that no real play up, but some artwork done and all that. But it is kind of like the original guy. The thing is, it's like, again, $900,000, steep request. You know, came out August 11th. You know, I don't know. I think there's a lot of big studios looking at. Well, we're a big studio, and Tim Schafer got this multi-million dollars, so we're going to ask for $1 million and get 5.
That's right.
And it's like, no, you're probably not.
It's like always ask for less than you need.
Yeah, but still got to ask for an amount that you can make the game on. The last one is funded, asking for $4,000 to make, to buy 3D Studio Max or something.
Which we were talking about before is not cheap.
Actually, I think he asked for like $4,000 to get 3D Studio Max, but I would like to get like the Creator's Suite 2, so $6,000 is like my ultimate, but like Maya. Okay, there it is. Yeah. So he wants Maya, but he liked it $10,000 so that he can get like the Creative Suite and some other things as well to go with it to make his game. Now, he opens this Kickstarter with 29 years old, I've got brain cancer, I would like to make my lifelong game. Later in the FAQ, talks about, like, okay, he has an FAQ of, like, hey, you know, are you going to even be around to, like, finish this game type thing, you know? And it's like, you know, let me just read his answer. So you have brain cancer. Are you even going to finish the project? Absolutely. My prognosis is actually really good, and I expect to be cancer-free by the end of the year.
In remission, or actually, like, I mean...
Well, I don't know. You know, so treating it, getting rid of it, blah, blah, blah.
Treatable brain cancer just does not sound like a thing.
It's a thing.
I know it's a thing, but it still doesn't sound right.
Dylan, I don't know where you're at on this, but I'm almost like, fuck you, I've had cancer too, right? Alright, dude, like, don't open your video with, like, poor me, I've had cancer. You know what? I've had fucking cancer. Deal with your shit, alright? Like, that's just a, to me, that, I don't know, I just kind of...
And then they come out right after and say, oh, it's not so bad, I'll finish this in time.
Yeah, and then I think of, like, doing the Funkworks Kickstarter of, like, fuck you, 2/3 of our team have had cancer. We win!
And I had a cancer scare.
It's been 15 years. I don't even think that's
yeah, I think I'm coming up on 10 years.
I feel like that's like giving a finger to people who actually, like, there's so many types of cancers. That feels like giving a finger to people who are unlucky enough to have a less treatable type of cancer. Like, no, I'm a monster.
I think my problem is you listen to the video and it's said almost just like, I've got brain cancer, and before I die, I just want to make a game. Oh my god, just make your game, dude. Like, life sucks, make your game. And then you kind of read on of like, no, I'm at least going to be like living for like 5 to 7 years from now, you know, because like it's really treatable and, you know, it's probably going to be gone, but it's definitely contained and, you know.
Again, like you can't, there's just no way to judge. But
I mean, it's a difference between like, the bronies supporting the girl that has the cancer, right? Who has like the inoperable cancer that the doctors basically said like, sorry, no, and the health insurance said we're not going to cover any kind of thing, just wrote her off, and the dad's like mortgaging everything he has to take every experimental treatment, and so like now all the bronies are like, yes, we're going to do everything we possibly can to give this 5-year-old girl her chance.
Yeah, I guess
there's that end of it, and then this kind of feels like...
It's sort of like the difference between, supporting actual medical treatment and something like Make-A-Wish, which, like, there is definitely place for both, but if you're only supporting Make-A-Wish...
No, all that said...
Well, this is Make-A-Wish kind of dirty.
He asked for $4,000 because he wanted to buy some stuff. I've said several times, that's cool. That's a great use of Kickstarter. He did it. He's funded. Congratulations. So I don't want to take anything away from the project on this. That's just my honest reaction to that pitch. I don't have data. I haven't done a Kickstarter analysis of projects in which the person has brain cancer versus one that doesn't, and what that does to the success rate of the
Neither are you an expert in the survivability rates of brain cancer.
Well, that you can get.
That you can get.
But how does that correlate to the success rate of the funding?
And
the world may never know.
I don't want to.
The other weird thing on his project that he does is he has one level, $20 to get the game. That's it. No other levels. And like somebody in the comments is like, "Hey, dude, you only have one level. That's not normal." And he's like, "Yeah, I just want to, I got a lot of stuff going on with the cancer, so I'm just going to focus and keep it simple. Make the game. Not going to ship a whole bunch of extras." And that kind of added to the like mystique of like, "Yeah, dude, man, just." Cancer sucks, and this is all he's going to get, and Make-A-Wish Foundation.
He's not doing anything crazy. He's saying, like, I just need software.
Right.
It's not... I don't know.
So you gotta kind of respect that, but...
Anyway, thank you, Dave, for coming on the show, and Michael Hicks for coming on the show.
Yeah, no problem.
Not a problem. It's wonderful being back again.
Yeah, thanks for having me, yeah.
I'm glad you both could come on. I'm really glad that you guys are taking under to put all the effort in and keep indies fresh and do the Uprising again this year, because it is not a small undertaking. Dave went in with eyes wide open. Michael, you're probably getting an education.
He's been learning quite a bit and going fast too.
It's always easier the second time.
Yeah.
You know the good place to buy lube in bulk, and you just deal with it. You get the little ring and you use that when you go to the toilet and all that. So, thank you guys for coming on the show. Thank you everyone who tunes into the live stream, watches us on YouTube, or texts us out in the old school format of an audio podcast. We will be back in a week.